Yo. Yeah, bathrooms, showers, whatever. The main thing for living in your car is parking up, I feel like. You basically want somewhere safe to park up at night to have a rest, and that is definitely easier said than done. So here's my experience so far and the way I've done it. I know a lot of people sort of mention that it's good to basically arrive somewhere after dark and leave before sunrise, and you sort of fly under the radar a little bit easier that way, which is great if you've got a good sleep schedule and rhythm and can manage that sort of thing. For me, that's not the way I've done it for like well over a year. I've basically just parked up in the back streets in the suburbs and tried to find like a place where there's like tall fencing along the side and away from street lights, just so you don't need so many curtains up and down the whole time. And ideally next to a place that's for sale and has no tenants at the moment, no one living in there, so you can just have like a little sort of scrap of privacy, which it's not genuine sort of real privacy, but what even is that in this day and age? So since the last video, I've sort of changed that around a little bit. It's gone from that to basically finding I sort of got hassled out in the back streets, and so found a place on like the outskirts of town in the factories and it was parking up there, and just in kind of like a no man's land where there's like a huge driveway that leads out onto a huge empty field basically, and there are houses like in the distance, but huge distance away, and like I felt pretty safe and secure there, and just quite out of the way, and I could get up at or still be up at 3 a.m. and just turn up the tunes, just completely crank the stereo, and not have any hassles or dramas with that at all. So I stayed there for about 2 or 3 weeks, most nights, unless I was away visiting someone or doing something, and did get to speak to a couple of the nearby like business owners in the factories and places like that one guy sort of stopped by and said hello, and mentioned that he knew a couple of people in a similar situation, sort of homeless, and then ended up suiciding and checking out, and reassured him that that's not what I'm doing, but that that I'd be okay, and that I was definitely on the right path. So whatever it looked like, it was fine and nothing to worry about. And just so on that note, like being homeless, I don't really consider living in a car to be homeless at all. It's like houseless technically. My car is an old Falcon. It's an Australian car, and I just love it to bits. That's why I'm still in it. People talk about upgrading, to a van or something bigger, but you get all sorts of different sort of dramas, like a little bit more space, sure, but you get just like generally a pretty slow option no matter what for the engine, so a bit more boring to cruise around in, and it's also like, having done a little bit of mechanics before and working on vans, it's just it's not something I want to do. Like I do as much maintenance and work on my own vehicles as possible, and having worked on vans previously, not interested in doing that in the future. It's just stupid. The design is not friendly to people that want to do their own maintenance. Yeah, so I met that guy, and he was fine with me being there. Met another guy that was in the other factories across the road that said it was fine with me being there, and I mean, both of them said they've had a few dramas with just idiots around the place doing dodgy things, and if I could keep an eye out for them, that'd be great, and let them know if I saw anything untoward going on, which I agreed with. I said I'd let them know. And then, yeah, just not long after I recorded the last video, had this four-wheel drive come past, and like went past 4 times, and like with a 5-minute gap between each time, and then just hassling me out more and more as time went on. So it was like a Friday night at about 9:30, so not too late, and I'd just started work on the computer in the back of the wagon, about half an hour into it, and then, you know, had this 4-wheel drive come past, and then come past again, but with the high beams on and beeping the horn, like pulling into the driveway, and, you know, high beams like lighting up my car, and I'm just sitting in the back and just like, alright, what's going on here? We've got company. And then, yeah, I think the 3rd time they came past, they like pulled in, high beams on, beeping the horn, and you could hear like a car full of people, and then doors opening, and someone jumped out and with a beer in their hand was just like coming towards the driver's side of my car. So once I saw someone near the door, I just hit the key and just locked all the doors, and, you know, up until that point I'd felt safe enough to just start leaving my doors unlocked for a change, which was really refreshing for me, because it's not something I usually do. So hit the key, it's lit up all my indicators. The guy coming towards the car is like fucking freaked out and just like ran off, jumped back in the 4-wheel drive, and they took off. And then I thought maybe that was that, but then they came back 5 minutes later again in a different car, and just like reversed up towards my car and just like held it on the limiter, and was shooting flames out the exhaust and just making a nuisance of themselves basically. And it's just like, yeah, well, good on you, but you know, it's fucking annoying, really. And after that, I was wanting to get back into working on whatever I was doing and on the computer, and just sort of like looking left and right out my windows constantly, and wondering if they're going to come back any minute or what the fuck's going on. And yeah, did not make for a settled, relaxing night at all. As you can imagine, I sort of was basically up for a few more hours doing work, and then packed up, and didn't get any sleep really at all that night. It was just not relaxed. So the thing is, when that happens, it's like, well, what do? Do you move immediately and sort of go and find somewhere else to park up? And if you do that, and then like, what's to stop it happening again immediately or in the next week or 2 weeks? And so I didn't bother. I just stayed there in the exact same spot for another couple of nights, and then ended up going for a walk around the area for about an hour and a half on a pretty nice day when the weather was good for it. And found somewhere like just up the road that was much more in like a nature spot, but closer to the freeway, so a little bit more noise, but a lot more like tree cover and privacy, and just a little bit of a nicer spot there. So it's funny how that works. You kind of go from being angry at people for disturbing your peace to sort of being thankful for them to push you to expand out and find other places that are maybe a little bit more suitable for the situation that you're in. And yeah, it's not the first time that that's happened. I mean, that's why I was there in the factories to begin with, is because I got hassled out when I was in the suburbs, and You know, if it happens once and people are hassling me, I'm just like, fine, whatever, I let it go. But then when they keep coming back around and doing it over and over and over again, that's when it like really starts to piss me off. And I get angry, and then like, yeah, obviously calm down, go and find somewhere else, and then end up being thankful that I found a better place than where I was to begin with, you know. So it's funny how that works. Yeah, so at the moment, yeah, all I've done is I found that other better place, and it's a compromise because I've got more sound, like being right next to a main freeway. I've got a lot more traffic noise, but apart from that, it's a lot better. It's a lot more sort of cover from trees, and I'm not sort of constantly having people like fucking just staring at me all the time, which is something that is a bit of a grind when you're in your car. There's no real privacy, and people just feel free to just stare at you no matter what time of day or what day of the week or any of that. It's just you're out in public as far as they're concerned, and like that's fair enough. Like I do the same thing. I just look without really thinking about it, and yeah, I don't know. It does sort of grind my gears a bit to not have that, you know, private, safe space that you have the opportunity to have in a household, where it's fenced off and gates, and you don't just have, you know, when you're relaxing at the end of the day on your couch or whatever in the lounge room, you don't have people like just staring at you through the window constantly, you know. And if you do, you can shut the curtains. It's just, yeah. In a car or a wagon or a van or anything like that, it's a fair bit more tricky to have somewhere to rest and recharge. You basically never know when someone's going to rock up at any time of day or night and just knock on the window, want to talk to you, and it could be just normal people, it could be people looking like casing your car, looking to steal shit, it could be cops wanting to know what you're up to, there could be ambos, everything. So it's just, yeah, it's a little bit wild, but yeah, at the same time there's quite a lot of freedom that you don't get in a house, sort of thing. That I appreciate that. Like if I'm next to some crazy neighbours that are up till 3 a.m. yelling at each other with dogs barking and whatnot, I don't just jump in the driver's seat and cruise off somewhere else and never park there again to sleep. You know, it's in that sense it's really nice to be able to be a little bit flexible with where I am. Yeah, so pretty much that's it. Yeah, for parking up, it's been tricky, and yeah, at the moment, basically for the new place that I found, one of the downsides of it, because we're still in fairly cold, wet weather here, and with like, yeah, a lot going on weather-wise in terms of just like high winds and storms happening. I haven't been able to stay in that new spot that I found near the freeway just because of access. So like my car's rear-wheel drive, it's got an LSD, so you know, got both wheels going on the back, but even then there's a risk of, just because the ground is so soft and it's not paved or concreted or anything, it's just dirt and grass as access. So I mean, when that gets wet, it gets very sort of squishy and sinky, and there's a risk of getting stuck there, which is not my idea of fun. So rather than keep staying there, you know, I spent a couple of nights there, which was cool, and not a problem at all. But mainly the weather sort of pushed me to branch out a bit and explore around and find somewhere else in like another set of factories. Yeah, so I did find a better spot than, like, I knew of one previously, and found a better spot very close to where that was, where it's like reasonably secluded, and you can sort of get away with the, you know, getting there after sunset and leaving before sunrise sort of thing. And then there's also a bonus of the weekend where you've basically got 2 days where you can just chill, where there's no one rocking up for work and like peering in and wondering what's going on and possibly calling the police and all the rest of it. So I've been parked up here at this spot where it's there's good like concrete and gravel for access and no risk of getting stuck or anything like that. And even on that note, like the previous place where I was out in the empty sort of fields in the paddocks there was when I went past again the other day after I'd already left, there was like a 4-wheel drive in there but like stuck in the field, and like it's not a 2-wheel drive 4-wheel drive thing. Like even with 4-wheel drive, I used to always get told like it just all that means is that you make it further before you get stuck. So it's not like I'm missing out and I have to upgrade or change my vehicle or anything. It's more just being careful of where I'm putting myself and considering how I'm going to get out of there again later on. At this point, there's we've had like high winds for quite a while, and lots of branches coming off trees and things. Not too many like full trees coming down, but because we had a storm not long ago that did like decimate a fair bit, a lot of the stuff that was going to come down has already done that, so it's not too severe at the moment. But at the same time, there's like a severe wind and rain warning with just high winds at like expected gusts of like 100 k's or 60 miles an hour, and like hail. And once it gets into hail predictions, I've got to sort of do something different. So at the moment I'm in the factories, just in an empty sort of block which is not being rented out or filled up as a warehouse for a business or anything at the moment. So it's like, am I allowed to be here? Not really. But am I not allowed to be here? Well, not really. There's no signs on the gate saying no trespassing and or anything like that, and there's no one using the property. So I'm just sitting here doing nothing, literally. I'm not hurting anyone. I'm not doing anything. I'm not doing burnouts or crazy shit. I'm not doing drugs or crazy shit. I'm not pumping loud noise, like cranking music or any of that. I'm just chilling out and basically under this shelter, which is like an open kind of carport area in a car park, and not bothering anyone. So there is a chance people will come and hassle me out here, but I'm starting to think that that chance will just always be there. It's always something that I've got to just sort of carry with me as a potential to happen at any point in time, no matter what day or night. So it's been good to get away from the suburbs, because like the town that I was parked up and staying in is kind of it's like an old country town where it's like small-ish. It's not tiny small, but it's small-ish, and it's a bit rough. I've seen rougher places, but this is a bit rough. And I've had quite a few things happen, like you just be in the car, about to go to sleep, and someone will just come and like shove their keys in the door of your car and start trying to unlock it. And then when you like pop the window open and say, hey, would you mind like not fucking doing that, please? And they're like, oh, sorry, I thought this was my car, and then just walk off. Or just that's out in the bush. And like further in towards the city, I had just, I don't know, probably one of the creepiest things I've had was just waking up in the morning and getting ready to leave, and I'm just like in a messed up state, because just like probably in need of a coffee and possibly hungover or possibly coming down and all the rest of it, just really tired and very, very low energy, and then just having like just people come out of their house from across the road with like a leaf blower, and they're like blowing leaves around their front yard and then blowing leaves across the road, and then they're just like blowing leaves like around my car, just doing fucking circles like around the car just with the leaf blower, and like looking in and just being completely fucked in the head basically. And you kind of just want to jump out and assert dominance and tell them to fuck off, but at the same time, like being so tired and drained and exhausted, just not together with it enough to be able to do that. So you just sort of jump in the front and start up and take off. But yeah, these things happen like, I don't know, about once every 2 or 3 months, and you just got to roll with the punches and adapt and move on, basically just constantly be moving and not really settle too much. And it has been in that sense, like after 15, 16 months straight of moving like every night or two from wherever I'm parked, it does get exhausting. And so it's been nice to at least have that 2 or 3 weeks that I had recently where I was parked up and able to do some really good sort of inner healing work and full, like, maybe not full relaxation, but about as close as I could get to being properly relaxed, where it's just a nice opportunity, which is pretty rare for me. So yeah, moving ahead, I'll just see what happens and just do what I normally do, which is just wing it and make it up as I go along. But yeah, for now, that's pretty much it. If you're considering living in your car, then I say go for it. You just figure it out as you go. And if you know someone that's living in your car, basically they need, you want to help them in some way, just ask if they want to shower or they want to wash some clothes. That's pretty much it. There are laundromats, there are bathrooms, there are all those sort of things available, but you just using them a bit less frequently than you would if you had just permanent access to these sorts of things, as you do in like a house. So yeah, that's pretty much it for car living and wagon living. And yeah, if I had known I would have been in the car for this long, probably would have hesitated or had second thoughts or something like that. But having sort of done over a year in the car and having done it better than I have previously in the past, I feel like I've got a fairly good handle on it, and I've been just slowly making tiny little upgrades where to make it more livable in here, just having lighting and stuff that I need to survive. Basically, it pretty much grinds down to just like you're surviving. And I used to feel like maybe that was a I don't know, like a little bit of a not the greatest existence, but then after having done it, I feel like just pure basic survival is actually pretty good. I like it, just to exist, just to find peace and contentment in pure simple existence is something that you can't really go to a shop and buy. That it's something you have to experience and generate for yourself, if that's what you want to do. So yeah, I'll probably do a music update in the next one, and until then, yeah, take care, much love, bye bye, see you soon.